The woods behind the young girl's family cabin always smelled like damp moss and sweet pine. For 9-year-old Jane and her 5-year-old sister, Anne, it was the perfect fairy kingdom. Both girls had matching corn silk blonde hair and striking blue eyes, though Anne's hair was currently tangled with the twigs from her crown of ferns upon her head. "Look, Jane, a fairy throne," Anne squealed, pointing at a hollowed-out oak stump lined with soft green moss. Jane smiled, adjusting her crown. "Shh, don't scare the Pixie court. We need to leave an offering of shiny pebbles before the sun dips below the ridge." They lost track of time, and the deep valleys of the Appalachian mountains. Sundown doesn't crawl. It drops like a heavy velvet curtain. One moment, the woods were bathed in golden light. The next, the shadows stretched out long skeletal fingers. The cheerful chirping of cicadas abruptly stopped. The silence that followed was heavy and absolute. "Jane," Anne whispered, her blue eyes wide and reflecting the dimming violet sky. "My feet are cold. I want to go home." "Okay, Button, grab my hand," Jane said, trying to keep her voice steady. The woods looked entirely different in the dark. The familiar trails had dissolved into a maze of black trunks and clutching briars. They started walking back, their bare feet crunching loudly on the dry leaves. Then a new sound joined theirs. Crunch. Jane stopped. The sound stopped. "Is that a deer?" Anne whimpered, clutching Jane's arm. "Yeah, just a deer," Jane lied. But a deer didn't emit a low, sub-bass vibration that rattled her teeth. It was a guttural, wet growl that seemed to vibrate straight out of the mountain earth itself. Snarl. "Run, Anne, run!" Jane yanked her sister forward. They broke into a frantic sprint as the woods behind them exploded into motion. Heavy, massive paws thudded against the ground, tearing through the underbrush with terrifying speed. Through the trees, Jane risked a glance backward. Meeting her gaze were two glowing, bright red eyes. The creature was a nightmare, stitched from the darkness itself, a wolf-like beast of the deep Appalachians. It was the size of a grizzly bear, its coat a matted midnight black that seemed to absorb the starlight, and its jaws dripped with a thick, steaming saliva that hissed when it hit the forest floor. Anne tripped over a hidden root, tumbling into the dirt. "Jane!" she screamed. Jane spun around, hauled her sister up by her overalls, and shoved her forward. "Don't look back. The porch light is right there." Sure enough, the red glow of their back porch flickered through the final tree line. But the beast was closing the distance. Jane could smell it now, the choking stench of rotting meat and old graves. The hot, humid breath of the beast blasted against the back of their necks. They burst out of the tree line and sprinted across the open backyard. 10 yards to the front porch. 5 yards Jane threw her weight against the heavy wooden door, shoving Anne inside first. She scrambled in right behind her, grabbed the handle, and slammed it shut with all her might. The deadbolt threw into place. The girls collapsed against the door, their chests heaving, tears streaming down their faces. For a second, there was a total silence outside. Jane looked at Anne, letting out a ragged breath of pure relief. They were safe. The relief was short-lived when the silence was broken by a sudden scratching of claws at the door, a low, vibrating growl. Jane's breath hitched. She pulled Anne away from the door, tucking her tightly behind her, then moving towards the window of the living room to look out. But nothing was there. Suddenly, crash! The massive head of the beast slammed violently through the glass window right above them, its jaws snapping just inches from Jane's face as it let out an ear-splitting, demonic roar. The girls ran to the far end, their hearts beating violently against their chest, frozen, awaiting for the worst to come from the beast. When suddenly, a peaceful calm washed over the room. The beast calmed. The girls looked at each other in confused disbelief. The massive creature with the glowing red eyes was now lowering its head at the girls, sinking its heavy body flat onto the wooden plank floor, along the shattered glass and wood shards. It dropped its head and raised its eyes up at the two young girls. Jane and Anne both laughed. Anne saying, "See, I told you. I knew we are part of the Pixie's court." The beautiful Appalachian spirits of the two girls had tamed even the mountain beast.